scholarly connection. Let this event be the start of more fruitful collaboration between our institutions. We hope this partnership will continue to grow, benefiting not only our students and academic communities, but also the broader society that we serve through education. To all speakers and contributors, thank you for sharing your time and expertise. To all students and participants, I encourage you to actively engage and make the most of this opportunity. With gratitude and high expectation, I now officially open the International Joint Lecture Series between Universitas PGRI Semarang and Nakhon Ratchasima Rajabhat University, Thailand. May the event run smoothly and bring great academic benefit to all of us. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the welcoming speech. Terima kasih Bu Dekan PPS.
Most welcome, Pak Hotel.
Now let us take a group photo to commemorate this international event. Bapak dan Ibu, teman-teman mohon mengaktifkan kamera. Kita akan mengambil foto bersama untuk dokumentasi pada hari ini. Ya, please take on the camera. Oke, kita akan mulai halaman pertama. 1, 2, 3. Oke, sekali lagi 1, 2, 3. Ya, oke, halaman yang kedua. Kita akan mengambil foto 1, 2, 3. Oke. Halaman selanjutnya, halaman ketiga, 1, 2, 3. Oke, sudah. Halaman keempat, kita ambil foto bersama lagi. 1, 2, 3. Oke, lanjut. Halaman kelima, 1, 2, 3. Oke, terakhir, kita ambil gambar. Kamera mohon diaktifkan. 1, 2, 3. Oke, terima kasih. Thank you very much. Okay, I will inform the information that the attendance link will be shared in the chat box at the end of the session to retrieve your electronic certificate.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And this time, we have
You are welcome.
honor to have the Dean of the Humanities and Social Sciences, Nakhon Ratchasima Rajabhat University, with us as well. She prepared a few words to you. So I would like to welcome Associate Professor Dr. Siriwadi, the Dean of the Humanities and Social Sciences faculty. Please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Associate Professor Dr. Siriwadi Vivit Kunakon, Dean of Humanity and Social Science, Faculty Nakhon Ratchasima Rajabhat University. Hello, esteemed colleagues and their students. It is my great honor and pleasure to welcome you all to the International Lecture Series, Bridging Science and Technology between UpGRIS and NRIU. This event marks a significant step in strengthening academic collaboration between our two institutions. Through the exchange of ideas, research, and experience, we not only enhance our knowledge in the field of English language, but also build lasting friendships and networks that transcend borders. We present you this time with Dr. Supichaya and Ajahn Varuni from the English program. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the English education of Greece Semarang, Indonesia, for their collaboration and dedication in making this event possible. I am also proud of our speaker from NRIU, who are here to share their valuable expertise made today and tomorrow's section inspire us to pursue innovation, foster academic excellence, and open doors to further international cooperation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much ขอบคุณครับอาจารย์ศิริภัทรี
ขอบพระคุณค่ะ
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, and let us begin with the core session, today's lecture. Our first speaker is Dr. Icuk Prayogi, SSMA, from Indonesia. Uh, he is from Indonesian Language and Literature Education Program, Universitas PGRI Semarang, UGRIS, and he will deliver a presentation titled Corpus for Language Teaching and Learning. Before we invite him to speak, allow me to briefly introduce his academic background from the curriculum vitae of Dr. Icuk Prayogi. Dr. Icuk Prayogi is a lecturer at the undergraduate program in Indonesian Language Education and the University of PGRI Semarang and has been teaching here since 2012. He holds a Bachelor of Arts in Indonesian Literature and also a Master of Arts in Linguistics from Gadjah Mada University and a Doctor of Humanities degree from also Gadjah Mada University, graduate in 2024. His areas of expertise include corpus linguistics, morphosyntax, sociolinguistics, and anthropological linguistics. With that distinguished background, he is here today to enrich our understanding of how corpus can be a powerful tool in language learning and instruction. Oke, jadi nanti Pak Icu akan memberikan materi yang mungkin kita akan bersama-sama pahami juga bahwa apa itu korpus dan mengapa korpus itu penting, bagaimana korpus dapat diintegrasikan dalam pengajaran bahasa, dan mungkin alat apa saja atau sumber daya digital apa yang tersedia saat ini. Oke, Dr. Icuk Prayogi, the screen is yours.
Sorry. Connection is unstable. Okay. Okay.
Ya, oke, sudah Pak Icu, silakan.
Thank you, Pak Yusuf. And good afternoon, everyone. We are from Indonesia. Introduce me, I'm Icuk Prayogi, and I would like to share about the corpus for language, yeah, teaching and learning, and also for research in humanity and social sciences. You can use it. And let me share my little knowledge about this kind of tools, yeah, corpus. Uh, we will talk about the first is definition of a corpus, and the second is brief explanation of corpus linguistics and why corpus is important in language education. There is 3 points that we are going to talk about. And the first is what is corpus? When we talk about corpus like is data, but the brief definition is a large structured set of text, whether it's spoken or written, stored electronically. The second, so we have to think about electronically in digital way, not in in the past corpus that is just written, but now it's electronically, so we can access it. For example, British National Corpus. For you all you want to know about English usage, and then corpus of contemporary American English or COCA, and also you can find in Leipzig corpus and CQB web. There is examples of common corpus that we can easily find in internet. And there is 2 types of corpus. The first is general corpus, and the second is specialized corpora. The general is use of language for general use. For example, in CQB web, there is general corpus and specialized corpus. For example, PNC or COCA. Next, please. Nah, what is the use of corpus? Yeah, corpus linguistics and language teaching. What is the connection of it? The first is you can use corpus data to analyze authentic language use. So when we use corpus, we have to think about language use, not language in the proper way or the correct one. For example, if we have to find a definition of word or how it a structure is correct or not, we can find in grammar books or in dictionary. Okay, but in corpus it's not like that. Corpus is language used for actual use, yeah, not in the proper way or the correct way, but in the real use of language. So when we think about corpus, we have to know about the 2 points. Yeah. The first is data-driven learning. Data-driven learning approach. So what is going on in language use actually is not the same with the correct one. So the corpus, there is a shift when we use corpus. There is a shift about from intuition, whether we use English or we use Indonesia or Thai language, to empirical evidence. Yeah, intuition, the correct one, or no, that is not what we're going to do. But we have to think about empirical evidence of language usage. Next, please. Okay, the next, please. So what is the benefit of corpus for language education? We can have it helps in selecting authentic examples of language usage. By selecting authentic examples, it can support syllabus or material development. When we want to write book about language usage, we have to language teaching. Yeah, when we are learning, it can help you to make syllabus or to develop material to develop materials, and it can assist in identifying common learner errors. So when the learner there is a corpus named learner corpus, so you can use it for uh, knowing whether the learner is going wrong with their language or no. You can analyze it with corpus. Better than we have to check one by one, because corpus is large data, big data, not particular or singular data. Next, please. So learners for language learner, you can discover patterns in real language use. So language use, there is a very what is it? very very different with the maybe uh, grammar books or with dictionary. So it will encourage autonomy through corpus tools. We can learn language by corpus tools. Yeah, any corpus tool, we will encourage you to make you learn language more effectively. And that is why you can improve vocabulary, collocation, and grammar knowledge. What is collocation? Collocation is like words occurring the same words occurring in the same sentence frequently. Yeah, that is collocation. Next, please. So there is software. Yeah, you can download it in the internet. There is software. The first is Encon and Lensbox for learning. That is for research. Yeah, research. In to learn about English, especially you can learn by platforms like Flex, Baidu, and Baidu interface, corpus interface. Yeah, Baidu corpus interface. For Indonesian, there is no no corpus yet. uh, for online corpora, there is PNC, CQB Web. There is a lots of uh,
I'm sorry, Mr. Itsu is disconnect. Okay.
Okay. Uh, as I said before, there is a lot of English corpus we can use to learn English or teaching English. For me, it is for learning because I am from Indonesian education program and not from English education program. Uh, there is a lot of corpus we can use to learn, especially in English. The first is corpus on news corpus on the web. Um, you can find it. There is 22 billion plus words. That is from genre new web news, and the second is iWeb, the intelligent web-based corpus. This is web-based, and you can find global web-based English. There is a web also. Wikipedia corpus is from Wikipedia. Coronavirus corpus, this from news from web. And Coca, as I said before, Coca, there is no genre in Coca because it is what is it? A general English, but there is some corpus in Coca. There is corpus whether it's academic English or news or spoken English. Then there is corpus of historical American English. So English has have lots of corpus we can learn. The TV corpus also and movie corpus and corpus of American soap operas. There's lots of English corpus. So we can use these tools to learn about English. Okay, there is a example of Coca. This very popular corpus. The name Coca. Now there is a list. You can register from Coca. Jadi, oh ya, saya lupa. Saya harus berbicara juga dengan bahasa Indonesia. Maaf, I'm sorry. I have to speak Indonesian also because there is lots of participant in Indonesia. Oke, Koka adalah korpus yang sangat umum dalam pembelajaran bahasa Inggris ya. Kebetulan dalam bahasa Indonesia belum ada dan belum belum berkembang penuh ya karena database bahasa Inggris itu sangat berlimpah. Tadi korpus-korpus yang ada itu korpus yang berbahasa Inggris. Hanya sedikit sekali korpus berbahasa Indonesia. Maksudnya database-nya bahasa Indonesia itu sangat sedikit. Oleh sebab itulah kalau menulis AI itu kenapa bahasa Indonesia tidak sebagus bahasa Inggris ya karena database-nya tidak banyak gitu ya. Penjelasannya gampang. Nah, ini akan ada simulasi sedikit tentang Koka ya. Koka itu tampilannya seperti ini. Koka is contemporary American English. Jadi bahasa Inggris kontemporer ya, bahasa Inggris kontemporer. Terutama ini Amerika sentris ya. Jadi Inggris Amerika ya. Nah, next please. Nah, what is the very useful for language teaching? I would like to give examples from textbook in English English education in Indonesia. There is a non-corpus based textbook. This textbook is written with intuition from the teacher. So the teacher have intuition. If you want to speak about this, when we have to this kind of structure, okay. This is no non-corpus based textbook. Next, please. Nah, this is a phrase giving announcement. Nah, in the chapter 8, chapter 6 ya, there's a phrase called giving announcement. If you learn English and you speak English well, maybe you will find it very strange structure, isn't it? Because it is from Indonesian language, translate it into English. So in Indonesia called memberikan pengumuman. Lalu memberikan pengumuman di bahasa Inggris kan, Englishnya with giving announcement. If we use into English intuition, then it is wrong. You have to, the correct one is announcing or giving information, not announcement. because giving announcement is Indonesian language structure, not English English structure. So this is very common in English education in Indonesia especially. Because many teachers write it with their intuition. They use Indonesian language structure to write English. So there is a very popular apa words called walking. In Indonesia itu is jalan-jalan, or in English is walking around. Indonesia English is walking, not walking around, walking. This is one of the examples. So if we want to teach English, so don't give this kind of phrase because this is not common in English, the real English, word Englishes or British English or American English. There is no common phrase like this. Yeah, giving announcement. This is wrong. This is not common in the real use of English. Okay. So if we check in corpus, there is no structure like that. Yeah. Whether it's not wrong. The grammar is not wrong. Yeah, but it's not common in English. Whether it's wrong, whether it's not wrong. Yeah. Then we can check it in Koka. Collocates, yeah, collocates. Is what words common what words is usually uh, and on the right or on the left the words we apa we analyze, yeah, announce what is the common words left. So that is the use of corpus British National apa Koka ya. Uh, so you are English teacher or you want to learn about English, so you can sorry, eh, ini. Uh, uh, you can work with vocabulary and collocation activities to use PNC to get our COCA together with your student, or if you are teacher, you can use it with your student to together knowing the real use of English by COCA. Okay, next please. So, not for English language for teaching and learning, but the definition of corpus linguistic is for apa ya, as it is for kind of corpus linguistic ya. The first corpus linguistic is about using corpus as database for language study. The second is data-driven language study, just like that, yeah, that COCA, yeah. The third is creating or analyze corpus tools of software. It is for not for language, yeah, for apa is it? Informatics, yeah. The fourth is creating corpus data. You can gain sets of data and taking it. That is called corpus linguistic. So corpus linguistic is worldwide definition. So you can see corpus as a tool, corpus as data sets, or corpus as a software. So uh, okay, how we can use corpus for language teaching. So this is the connection is unstable. Okay, you can use it for data-driven learning, DDL, data-driven learning for language use, and direct application of general purpose, direct application for specialist at special purpose. Yang tentang penggunaan korpus dalam pembelajaran bahasa, intinya gitu ya, intinya penggunaan korpus dalam pembelajaran bahasa bisa sekali dimungkinkan, terutama untuk pembelajaran bahasa asing ya. Kalau bahasa Indonesia sebagai bahasa asing, kita juga perlu bedakan antara penggunaan bahasa pada yang senatural mungkin, ya, senatural mungkin, atau penggunaan bahasa yang tidak natural. Ya, korpus itu mengajarkan kita, ya, teach us about the natural way of language use, ya, pengajaran pembelajaran bahasa secara natural. Misalnya kita waktu kecil, kita kan pernah mendengar istilah ini Budi, ini Bapak Budi, ini Bu Budi. Kalimat percakapan itu benar-benar karangan atau sesuatu yang dipikirkan oleh penyusun materi ajar, ya. Itu tidak benar-benar ada kalimat seperti itu. Artinya kalimat itu adalah kalimat rekaan, bukan penggunaan bahasa senyata-nyatanya. Like in English, if we meet someone, hi, my name is James. How are you? My name is John. I think that is just for this is proper English and in the book of grammar, but not in actual use of English. In English, real use is very simple, not that proper, not that correct. Jadi di dalam bahasa Indonesia, in Indonesian it's also like that. Hai, apa kabar? Nama saya itu apa? Siapakah kamu gitu ya? Itu that is not natural in Indonesian language ya. That is not corpus verbs ya. Corpus verb with language real actual use. So the output is we can use language naturally, not properly or not correctly, but like natural and just like English speaker ya, how to speak in natural way. Next please. This is kind di luar itu Mbak. Nah, this is the one tool called ENCON, a tool for data-driven research. So I will demonstrate it. I'm collecting 100 bachelor thesis. So I collected and saya mengumpulkan ya 132 skripsi and I want to analyze it ya with if what is common words, common collocation, common lexical bundles used in thesis, Indonesian thesis. So it would natural called thesis ya, tesis skripsi dalam bahasa Indonesia itu naturalnya itu seperti apa, biasanya itu seperti apa bahasanya gitu ya. Next please. Iya. Okay. The first words that very common in thesis, Indonesian thesis is yang. Yang is like which in English. Or that. So bahasa Indonesia kata yang paling sering muncul adalah yang. Yang kedua adalah dan yang ketiga adalah dalam dan seterusnya berdasarkan frekuensi yang muncul. Yang berikut or in bahasa Indonesia gugus leksikal. there is 3 words or 6 words or 7 words which actually frequently together, always together in a very different kind of text. Uh, for example, in English, in the middle of, uh, on the other hand, result of, at the end of the. It is important to. This is a kind of lexical bundles very commonly used in English. In Bahasa Indonesia is a different kind of that things. Next one. Nah, there's lots of it. In Indonesia, orang ini sih Indonesia ya. Hal ini sejalan dengan ya misal. Hal ini hal ini sejalan dengan these 4 words and they always together in very different texts. So there is not actually a phrase or clause, but it is called lexical bundles or gugus lexical. So skip aja, skip aja, skip aja. Ya cepat ya. Let's I skip it few.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ichu is trying to reconnect. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, while we waiting for Mr. Ichu to reconnect again, we will some conclusion. We come to the conclusion, but as a corpus, as a powerful tool for modern language education in Indonesia, we could say that corpus ini merupakan salah satu terobosan baru ya ternyata ya dalam dunia pendidikan modern ya itu. Kemudian oh ya, ini Pak Icu sudah bisa bergabung kembali. Ya, Pak Icu sudah bisa bergabung kembali.
Bisa.
Ya, silakan dilanjutkan Pak Icu.
So thank you for your patience. As I said before, so the conclusion is this is quite new for us, especially in Asia, Southeast Asia, Thailand or Indonesia is not much corpus used, but in English there is a rich, there is lots of corpus we can use, but we can actually what is it, learn by corpus we using our national language, Thai language or Indonesian language, so we can use it for research, and the next step is whether we can use it for making material for language education better, yeah. Not like so we will not use intuition for material development. So we can use corpus as a tool for research also, yeah. That is my conclusion. If we want to uh, talk about corpus further, we can have a discussion. Thank you for giving attention to my speech as I participate.
Ya, oke. Terima kasih Pak Icu atas paparannya. Thank you very much for your material that has been given. And it is very interesting that the corpus can be applied in the language education. Yeah. And then Mr. Icu also said that the authentic data can be used and improve the language skills. And he also explained about the concept of lexical bundles, data-driven learning, and also the tools in corpus like Encon and Coca. It's very clear. Thank you, Mr. Ichu. So this is a highly relevant approach for modern language education in the digital age. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we move forward to the second speaker in our session. Our next speaker is Dr. Sufisaya Wongkumsai from Nakhon Ratchasima Rajabhat University, Thailand, and she will be delivered a talk titled Unlocking Meaning, Essential Reading Strategies for Academic Success. But before we invite her to speak, allow me to introduce her brief academic background. Dr. Sufisaya Wongkumsai is a faculty member at the Faculty of Humanities and Social Science, Nakhon Ratchasima Rajabhat University, Thailand. She earned Bachelor of Arts in French and a Master of Arts in English from Konkan University, and a Doctor of Philosophy in English from Naresuan University. Her recent work include article entitled The Importance of English in Thai Society and in Technology, and also the paper on metacognitive strategy, preference in vocabulary learning among Thai EFL learners, present at international conference hosted by Suwan Sunanda Rajabhat University. And in 2022, study presented at SPUCON on vocabulary learning strategies among Thai EFL freshman students. With her expertise in English language education, particularly in vocabulary strategies and reading comprehension, Dr. Sufisaya brings valuable insight into the challenges and innovation of academic literacy. Sebagai pengantar paparan dari Dr. Sufisaya, kita nantinya akan mendapat paparan mengenai apa saja strategi yang efektif dalam membaca akademik, kemudian bagaimana pelajar dapat menguasai kosakata melalui pendekatan mendalam maupun menggunakan pendekatan metakognitif. Nah, ini seperti apa pendekatan metakognitif nanti akan dijelaskan oleh Dr. Sufisaya. Dan bagaimana peran teknologi dalam mendukung pemahaman bacaan ini. Nah, kita akan lihat. Oke, now we will let Dr. Sufisaya to give the explanation. The screen is yours.
Okay. Can you see this?
Yes, okay.
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 First of all, I would like to thank moderator for your inspiration words First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Suvichaya Wongkamsai. You can call me Dr. Tukta in brief. Okay. I'm lecturer from Nakhon Ratchasima Ratchapat University. Okay. Thanks you everyone to join us for my talk today. For the topic of unlocking meaning, essential reading strategy for academic success. For unlocking your meaning reading strategy for academic success, you have to think about navigate complex text and improve comprehension, enhance critical thinking and analytical skill. I would like to show about the difference between critical thinking and analytical thinking. When you think about critical thinking, is focusing on evaluation and judgment. But for analytical skill, we focuses on structure and components that will different. Moreover, we will focus on achieve academic goals through effective reading habits. For active reading, engaging with text, we have to think about, first of all, preview the text, skimming, reading, heading, subheading, and summaries. We have to ask questions, formulate questions before, during, and after reading. We have to annotate, mark key points, argument, and unfamiliar terms. Unfamiliar terms or unfamiliar words. And then we have to think about example. We have to highlight main idea with colorful colors. And this will help you to supporting evidence and in another way. SQ3R is like a very popular because everyone know this idea. The first one is survey, scan the text for an overview. It's about 5 minutes. Question, formulate question based on heading. 2 minutes. Read actively, read each section and seeking answer. 20 minutes is quite long. Recite, summarize each session from your own words, only 5 minutes. And review, you can review notes and key points, only 3 minutes. So it's like SQTR. Now, let's move to critical analysis, questioning, and assumption. First of all, you have to identify the author's purpose and bias. Evaluate the evidence present. Consider alternative perspective. For example, analyze a research paper by examining the methodology and limitation. Let's move to the next slide. Note-taking technique. You have to capture key information. This one is Cornell method. This Cornell method is what developed at Cornell University by education professor. His name is Walter Park from 1950. Oh, it's quite a long time. This technique will help you organize information because Cornell method, you have to divide notes into clues, note, and summary section. So I will share the example of note-taking. You can see this is the structure of Cornell method. Title, you have to write date, and Q column, keywords, question, main notes, note-taking, and next one is summarize section. You can search what is the Cornell method from ChatGPT AI for further information. Next, it's like a mind mapping. You know very well because we learn this when we was young. Mind mapping is like a visually organized information around a central topic. The next one is outlining structure from hierarchy with main points and subpoints. The next one is understanding academic vocabulary. when you talk about unknown words, you have to think how to know is. You can know it by use contextual clue. Use contextual clue mean use surrounding words to infer meaning. Use root word, prefix, and suffix break down complex terms. Or you use online dictionary because you can find many words from dictionary. You can utilize resource for definition and example. Now you can use ubiquitous learning. What is ubiquitous? Ubiquitous is mean that you can learn from technology, from your smartphone, and from your social media. And then reading for different purpose. When you read something, one thing that you have to think about skimming quickly, identifying. You can search it by looking the main idea. Scan specific information, name date, and then in this reading, you have to understand complex argument. For example, essay. And for the strategic approach from unlocking your reading strategy, you have to combine active reading, critical analysis, note-taking. Practice regularly to improve reading speed and comprehension. Seek feedback from professor and peer to refine your skill. Remember, reading is not a passive activity, but an active engagement with idea. So it's just like finished from the first slide, but I have another slide to show you about vocabulary learning strategy. The moderator explained my profile. I keen about vocabulary and meta vocabulary. So I would like to share. This is the first thing when we read something, we have to learn vocabulary learning strategy because it can help you to read everything quickly. So the first one is repetition. What is this? Repetition is writing or saying the same thing, vocabulary word, multiple times. You can see from the example, it's okay not to be okay. You repeat the same word with different context. Then you use flashcards. The children like to look at the words with the colorful picture. Flashcard is a great way to memorize vocabulary faster, especially with image. The next one, you have to grouping language in the same categories. For example, food, sports, or business. The next one is using words in the sentence. You can learn that some words have the same time but different context. The next one's guessing from context that I showed you before. We have to learn new word, but you have to look at surround word and find the meaning of it. Especially when you come across new words in article. The next one is listening and mimicking. There are 4 stages of empathic listening. For example, mimic content, reflect content, reflect emotion, mirror back. It's particularly useful for words you often hear in TV series or song. The next one is spaced repetition. You can learn a powerful technique for building long-term memory. For example, review at a higher rate or review a lower rate. For the next slide, I will show you about deep and metacognitive vocabulary learning strategy. It's mixed between metacognitive and vocabulary learning strategy mixed together. So this name MVLS. First of all, you have to set goal. You learn something, you have to set goal. For example, the word that we want to learn, and everything we have to learn, or everything we have to set the goal to succeed it. Deciding how many words you want to learn each day. For today, you have to think, you have to learn about the word, about religious, about the political words, or about the disease, something like that. You have to set goal. You have to learn 500 words each day. The next one, you have to planning set time for each vocabulary. For today, 500 words, 10 minutes, something like that, or 1 hour. The next one, monitoring, checking whether or not you are truly remember the word. You have to think we can memory it or not when we set 500 words each day. The next one, evaluating. You have to figure out which strategy actually work best for you. As I showed you before, you have to think which strategy is best for me and for you. But for me, I like flashcards. And what about you? You may like grouping or guessing meaning from context. Let's move to the next slide. Evaluation, figure out which strategy actually work best for you. And the next one, making association. When you know every word and have a lot of words in your brain, you can bring the word. For example, bitter. This word we have to use with the coffee. So we can think bitter word. It means like we have to share the taste of coffee. The next one, leading for vocabulary growth. When you have a lot of strategy, you can focusing on frequently repeat new words in the text. And then it's quite news for me. Anki word. I will show you the Anki word. Anki word application.
How do I use Anki for
You can hear it.
language learning? If you are eager to learn a new language and want to remember vocabulary and phrases easily, you might be wondering how to use Anki software effectively. Let's break down the steps to make your language learning journey smoother and more enjoyable. First, Anki is a digital flashcard application that utilizes a method called spaced repetition. This technique helps you remember information by scheduling reviews of flashcards at increasing intervals. Research shows that this method is effective for long-term memory retention, especially when learning a new language. To get started with Anki, visit its official website and download the application. You can choose between the desktop version, which has more features, or the web version for basic flashcard review. Once you have installed Anki, create a new deck specifically for the language you are learning. When creating flashcards, keep it simple. Focus on one word or phrase per card. On the front, write the word in the language you are studying. On the back, include the translation, pronunciation, and an example sentence if you can. Adding images or audio can make your cards more engaging and memorable. Anki's spaced repetition algorithm will determine when to review each card. If you see a card, you will rate how well you remembered it by choosing easy, good, or hard. Based on your response, Anki will schedule the next review, allowing you to spend more time on difficult cards and less on those you already know well.
Okay, I will show you the vocabulary Anki app. It's like a cap application. It's quite new for me. You have to download. You have to download from Google Play, Mac app, Windows. You can study words from the picture. Okay, let's move to the next slide. And then when you have a lot of words, when you study a lot of strategy, you can teaching other. When you teach someone else, it means that you understand the word very well and you can teach everyone with the news. Thank you for your attention. If you have question, please ask me.
Oke, thank you, Dr. Supichaya. Oke, ini Dr. Supichaya ini sangat menarik presentasinya ya, cukup praktis dan mudah dipahami. Ini beliau memaparkan berbagai strategi pembelajaran kosakata, ya, mulai dari teknik dasar pengulangan, penggunaan kartu flash, dan menebak makna dari konteks, hingga strategi metakognitif seperti penetapan tujuan, pemantauan, dan evaluasi diri. Yang sangat menarik juga, Dr. Supichaya memberikan contoh penerapan strategi note-taking menggunakan Cornell Method dan Anki Application, ya, yang bisa diunduh melalui Google Store, salah satunya tadi ya. Nah, ini bisa membantu kita dalam memahami dan mencatat kosakata secara sistematis. Oke. This presentation is highly valuable for second language learner and educators seeking effective tools to support vocabulary development. Okay. Now we will begin our discussion, question and answer session. There will be 2 rounds. It's with 3 questions addressed to both speaker. Okay. Please raise your hand, or you can put your question on the chat box. Okay. Okay, any questions, please? Okay, any questions? Okay, maybe Dr. Supichaya, I have questions about your materials. Among the various vocabulary learning strategy that you presented, which do you think is the most effective for the international student in academic setting? Which one? Based on your research until now.
When I do my research,
Yeah.
I use metacognitive vocabulary learning strategy. Why I use this? Because we can set what we have learned from the vocabulary. We can set goal, planning, and monitoring and evaluating. So you can see from my curriculum vitae that I do about how to know vocabulary. So I use this one. I think it's very useful.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay. Thank you, Dr. Supichaya. And maybe I will also ask to Dr. Icu Prayogi about the corpus in the language teaching. Dr. Icu, what is the simplest way for novice language teachers to start using corpus in their classroom, especially if they are not yet familiar with technology? Sorry, the microphone is still off. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yusuf, for the question. You can easily look up the COCA, and you can work it with your student. What is common use in English? It's quite simple how to use it. You can look at YouTube, and there is lots of presentation about COCA. Very simple. Then you can find what genre is for the words. Yeah. For example, is effect. Yeah, bad effect. The words, the phrase bad effects is not common in academic. If we look at effects, and then we scroll up the use of adjective of effect, then we can find for the academic purpose, it's very common to use negative effect, but better than bad effects. Bad effect is for informal language use, but negative effects is for academic purposes. So in COCA, you can find it very easily to learn about genre for English. Yeah, that is very easy to start. You can start it with COCA. If you want to research about language, research about uh, maybe social sciences or humanities, you can use what is it? Encom for maybe analyze for critical uh, what's it? Critical discourse. Yeah. You can use Encom to help you. If you are a language teacher, you can use COCA or PNC. It's very easy to use. If you want to learn about new language, you can use, I think, COCA also, because COCA is very have a lot of item feature you can use with synonyms or uh, antonyms or something like that. So if with one single account, I think that's it. Thank you, Mr. Rizzo.
Okay, terima kasih Pak Icu. Thank you very much. And this is any some questions from the participants to Pak Icu. Yeah. You mentioned less lexical bundles in your presentation. How can these bundles help students improve their academic writing skill?
So, lexical bundles is uh, it's the formation of 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 words together, whether in very different texts in the same genre. So, if it thesis in another thesis, it will also you can find it in other thesis. Yeah, another thesis, and it is very useful if you want to learn about the different genres. You call it academic writing. You can use lexical bundles. If you want to move on spoken language, you can use another lexical bundle, because there is no uh, no apa ya it's not the same. The lexical bundle of different genre is quite different. Lexical bundle has a three major three issues of lexical bundle. The first is structured. The second is the functions. The third is the fragments of lexical bundle, or the basis of lexical bundle is quite different. And in different genre, it has a different lexical bundles, whether it's songs, songs is also different. I love the lexical pattern of I love you is very common in songs. Um, After all of that, this is common on spoken language. Besides of that, spoken maybe it's Indonesian academic English education, yeah. Besides of that, and that's on. I think that is the use of lexical bundles. Very lots. I heard that in other countries, the material development of materials, what is it? Materials teaching, it goes with corpus assisted or corpus informed materials, not by our intuition, our lecture intuition, but from the actual use of language. For example, in Malay or in Korea or in Hong Kong, the education of English is using corpus assisted materials development or corpus based material development. That is from what I know. Thank you.
Oke, terima kasih Dr. Icu Prayogi, very clear explanation. And in the chat, we also have questions to Dr. Supicaya from Mbak Wici. Some metacognitive strategies like self-evaluation and teaching others sounds challenging. How can students stay motivated to keep using this strategy effectively?
Or in my opinion, the first of all,
Yeah.
students have to think about mindset. They have to set growth from mindset that they think that they can learn 500 words, and teacher sometimes will give some rewards to them. When I was young, when I can write vocabulary every day, my mother will give me some chocolate, for example, when I can learn and can memory some word. So I think we can use this technique to apply to our student, because metacognitive vocabulary learning strategy, we have to set goals, set planning, monitoring, and evaluation. When students have growth mindset, they can think, I have to learn, I have to win how to write word, and they can get chocolate, something like that. Thank you.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you. The next questions to Dr. Supicaya. You demonstrated the Cornell note-taking method. What is the best way to consistently apply this method in daily language learning?
Cornell note-taking method is the best way. I think we can learn every day. This method can apply to our
Use every day.
every day. When
Okay.
we have to take note topic, and then we have to brief in our mind that what we have to write, and then we have to summarize. Note taking, you can write some mini notebook, and you can put it together everywhere. When you read something, you can write down in that book. Thank you.
Oke, thank you, Dr. Supicaya. Jadi harus dipraktekkan dalam kehidupan sehari-hari ya, teman-teman di sini, bahwa menggunakan Cornell note taking ini cukup menggunakan buku-buku biasa untuk digunakan, hanya mengikuti struktur dari Cornell note taking tadi. Oke, gitu. Terima kasih Dr. Supicaya. Kemudian mungkin ini pertanyaan terakhir ya. Pertanyaan terakhir, the last question from Mbak Aisyah PBSI. Ini untuk Dr. Icu Prayogi. Apa tantangan terbesar dalam mengintegrasikan korpus ke dalam pembelajaran bahasa? Dan bagaimana solusinya menurut pengalaman Bapak? Ya, what is the most challenging in applied the corpus data analysis? Oke, please silahkan Bapak Icu Prayogi. Sorry, your microphone, sir.
Okay, thank you for the question. The first is we have to learn. There is maybe we have to uh, make a class for corpus itself because it cannot be done without instructor. So we have to make a class about corpus. Because this is quite different view of language, actually, not with common. When we are learning about a language, we usually learn by our our teacher, by maybe by YouTube or by AI, but with corpus we have to have an instructor that instruct us something uh, about corpus tools, how we use it. uh, the most challenging parts of it is the corpus itself. The information of corpus is very limited. It's not because the resources is not much, but there is no one, there is few people use it. So this is not just challenging, but maybe an opportunity for us to begin to learn corpus. We can learn about corpus, then we can make it the corpus, and we can use the corpus. That is three parts that we have to learn about it, because this is more easy for us as a student, as a lecturer, or as a teacher to what is it to learn something new. So we can think what AI, for example, AI think what the answer of, if he ask AI to do something, what is in their minds. They have a big data size, big, very huge data. How they think is like corpus things, because they use corpus database, very huge database. So if you use Google Translate or AI, they use corpus actually. Large language model, they use large language models. So when we use learn about corpus, we actually learn about how they think, how the AI think, how the Google Translate think. The most challenging thing is that we will have to learn about corpus firstly. Okay, thank you for the question.
Oke, thank you, Dr. Icu Prayogi. Terima kasih. So we come to the end of this session. I will conclude some important points. The first one from Dr. Icu, that corpus-based language learning is highly relevant in the digital age. Dr. Icu also emphasized how corpus allows learners to study language in an objective, contextual, and independent manner. Second, tools such as Ancon and Koka help both teachers and students access authentic language data to teach vocabulary, grammar, and discourse. And the third, language, lexical bundles or frequently recurring word sequences are essential in helping learners write and speak more fluently and academically. And from Dr. Sufichaya, we learn that vocabulary learning is not just about memorization, but also involves metacognitive strategies such as planning, monitoring, and self-evaluation. The Cornell note-taking method she introduced also offers a clear, organized way to engage with the new vocabulary and encourages learners at autonomy. In the last, the effective learning happens when the students are actively involved through observing, applying, and even teaching what they have learned. Okay, please also check your chat box for the attendance link. Kindly fill it to receive your certificate. Jadi teman-teman, tauta tahun presensi sudah dibagikan di chat box ya, kotak pesan silahkan untuk diisi, sudah ada di situ ya. Oke. Nanti akan ada sertifikat yang akan diberikan oleh KUI atau International Office. Okay, we are reaching in the end of today's session. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank both of our speakers today, Dr. Icuk Prayogi and also Dr. Sufichaya Kamsai, for giving a great explanation, inspiring vision. And also, I will give thanks to all the participants from Indonesia and Thailand and everyone behind this successful event. We hope today's session inspired more collaboratively learning between nations, Indonesian and Thailand. And thank you once again and see you in the next international joint lecture series. Thank you very much. Sampai jumpa semuanya pada sesi-sesi berikutnya. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. ขอบคุณครับ Dr. Sufichaya.
Thank you much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.